You never think the person you share a bed with will someday start hiding secrets in plain sight. But sometimes, the brightest people in the room are just the best at blinding you. Her name was Melissa. My wife. To the outside world, she was a powerhouse. The face of our nonprofit. Charismatic, polished, unstoppable. She could talk circles around politicians and walk into any room like she owned the air. We both worked in the same organization, a government-adjacent nonprofit in Western Canada. We met there 8 years ago, both eager, both driven, both hungry to build something. And we did. Together. At least, that's what I thought. She worked in external relations, always on the news, always networking. I handled registration and compliance, the quiet side of things. She'd fly across the country, shaking hands, making speeches, and I'd be back at the office, behind spreadsheets, handling logistics no one ever noticed. It worked. Her extroversion balanced my introversion. Her spotlight gave my silence meaning. At least, until the light started feeling like a shadow. 6 months ago, she hired an assistant. I didn't know his name right away. Didn't even know he was a he until I brought her coffee one morning and caught him looking at me sideways, like, "Who are you?" Let's call him Zach, 29, charming, a walking LinkedIn profile with a square jaw. Melissa barely mentioned him at home. Didn't say much about his role. And when I finally asked who the new assistant was, she laughed. Jealous already? He reminds me of a younger you. It stung. Worse than I expected. Because I wasn't at my best. Not then. I had just started short-term disability leave. Health issues. Stress. Stuff that slows you down while the world, and your wife, keep moving full speed ahead. I was at home with the kids. 2 of them, 7 and 5. The lights of my life. While Melissa, she started staying late. Started traveling more. Started dressing different, posting photos that made me do a double take. And he was always there. In the background. On the beach. In the blurred reflections of wine glasses on Instagram. People at the office began whispering. Of course they did. People in offices live for this kind of drama. They feed on it. And the rumors. They always arrive before the facts do. But the facts came. Sooner than I expected. And uglier than I was ready for. You always think betrayal will come crashing in like a storm. Loud. Obvious. Violent. But in truth, it's quieter than that. More surgical. Like watching someone slowly walk out of the room, while locking the door behind them. It was a Tuesday when I finally saw it. Not just the signs, but the truth. I had gone into the office to drop off documents. Nothing urgent, just a few compliance updates I wanted to hand in myself. I missed the place. Missed the rhythm. The sense of being part of something. And if I'm honest, I missed her. But when I stepped into that building, I didn't walk into familiarity. I walked into something else. Tension. Eyes darting. Whispers dying the second I passed by. One of the junior staff, a quiet girl named Priya, looked at me with something between pity and fear. That's when I knew. I found Melissa in her office. Door half open, like an invitation. Or a trap. She was laughing when I stepped in. Not her usual political laugh, the one she used in donor meetings, but her real one. The laugh I used to know. And sitting across from her, legs stretched out, shirt sleeves rolled up like he owned the place, was Zach. They froze when they saw me. Just for a second. But it was enough. "Hey," I said. "Didn't know you'd have company." "Oh, just going over a briefing," she said too quickly. Nothing serious. Zach stood up. Taller than I remembered. Cocky. Confident. "Hey man, good to see you." I hated that. Man, like I was some colleague. Not the husband. Not the guy paying for the house she left empty 3 nights a week. Likewise, I lied. I dropped the folder on her desk. "Here's the audit package. You'll need it for the quarterly." "Thanks," she said, still not meeting my eyes. I turned to leave. Paused at the door. And then, I don't know why I did it. I looked back. And caught the glance. Zach looked at her. She looked back. And in that look was everything they didn't say. Intimacy. Familiarity. Guilt. It hit me like cold water to the face. This wasn't flirtation. This wasn't emotional confusion. This was an affair. And it had been happening for a while. I didn't confront them then. No rage. No shouting. I walked out. Because I knew. If I stayed another second, I would have said something I couldn't take back. And I needed proof. Not suspicion. Not whispers. Solid, undeniable proof. That night, I couldn't sleep. She came home late again, claimed it was a bored dinner. Didn't even ask how the kids were, didn't notice I hadn't eaten. She kissed my cheek, as if nothing had changed, as if she wasn't lying with every breath. And that's when the idea came. If she was building her fantasy in the shadows, then it was time I turned on the light. I wasn't just a husband anymore. I was a man with access, to systems, to records, to the one thing she thought I'd never look at. Her communications. Funny thing about secrets, they don't like staying buried, even the ones protected by power, politics, or polished smiles. Sometimes, the truth doesn't need to be hunted. Sometimes, it finds you. 2 days after I visited the office, I got an email, no subject, no signature, just a PDF attachment. The name of the file? You deserve to know. At first, I thought it was spam, or worse, malware, but something about it felt personal. I opened it, and there it was. Screenshots, emails, texts, calendar entries, all from Melissa's work account, all between her and Zach. It wasn't just an affair, it was premeditated. They had code names, fake calendar events, travel expenses listed under fabricated outreach initiatives. There were hotel reservations, one billed as out-of-town networking, another disguised as a donor strategy retreat. I read each message like it was a knife pressed to my ribs. Can't wait to see you tonight. Make sure you missed your flight. Again, winking face. You looked so good in that blazer. Almost made me forget where we were. Almost, but not quite. There were dozens of messages, each one a little more shameless than the last. They weren't just having an affair, they were laughing at the fact that no one knew, including me. The husband, the father of her children, the man who co-founded the organization with her. At the very end of the file, there was a note, typed, anonymous. You didn't deserve this, but you deserve the truth, someone who still respects what you built. I stared at the screen, not crying, not shaking, just still. Because when betrayal finally becomes undeniable, it stops hurting like a wound and starts feeling like clarity. She came home late again that night. I didn't mention the email, didn't show her the evidence. Instead, I asked, how was the board dinner? She smiled, the same plastic smile I'd seen her give strangers on TV. Long, exhausting, but productive. I nodded, sipped my tea, and in that moment, I knew something she didn't. I wasn't the only one watching anymore. I printed the file, 3 copies, one for me, one for legal, and one for a meeting I hadn't scheduled yet, but would. Because now it wasn't just about heartbreak, it was about accountability. I didn't raise my voice, didn't demand answers, didn't smash anything, because I wasn't looking for revenge, I was setting the record straight. That Friday, we had our usual quarterly strategy meeting, all departments, all leads, everyone who mattered in one room. Melissa was there, of course, leading the session like always, radiant, confident, completely unaware of what was about to happen. And me? I sat quietly at the far end of the table, not out of deference, but strategy. Because this time, I wasn't the man in the shadows. I was the one holding the floodlight. Midway through the session, just after she finished presenting on organizational transparency, I raised my hand. Melissa, if I may. I think there's a relevant document the team should hear. She blinked, confused, then nodded, still riding high on her own performance. Of course. Go ahead. I opened the folder, pulled out one page. Could you read this aloud for us? Just the highlighted section. She took it with a smile, still clueless. Started reading. Can't wait to see you tonight. Make sure you missed your flight again. The room fell silent. She stopped, eyes froze on the page, then turned white. What is this? Continue, I said, calmly. You haven't reached the best part. She looked around, People were staring, Zach shifted uncomfortably in his chair. She scanned the paper like it had betrayed her, like the words on the page weren't hers. This is out of context, she said, voice cracking. I nodded. That's why I brought the full document. 47 pages. Context included. And I placed the full printout on the table. No shouting, no accusations. Just facts, just truth. Undeniable, undiluted. The board chair leaned forward. Melissa, would you like to explain this? Zach stood up suddenly. This is inappropriate. He has no authority. Actually, I said, cutting him off, As co-founder and director of compliance, I have every authority to raise ethical breaches. Especially ones involving misused funds, falsified travel reports, and personal misconduct. The HR director flinched. Legal started taking notes. And Melissa? She just stood there. Caught. Exposed. Speechless. She didn't defend herself. Because there was nothing to defend. The evidence wasn't just compelling. It was hers. Her words. Her choices. Her lies. Read out loud. By her own voice. The meeting ended early. The investigation began that afternoon. By Monday, Zach was gone. By Wednesday, Melissa was placed on administrative leave. And me? I walked out of that building with my head high. Not because I destroyed her, but because I refused to be silent anymore. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten. I just let the truth speak. And it roared. They say when your world falls apart, you find out who you really are. I found out I wasn't weak. I wasn't naive. I wasn't broken. I was awake. In the weeks that followed the fallout, everything changed. Zach resigned before the investigation even finished. Melissa was suspended, then quietly dismissed. No headlines. No press releases. Just silence. The kind of silence that echoes. The board asked me to stay. Not just stay, lead. They offered me Melissa's role. Same title. Better salary. New authority. I didn't take it despite her. I took it because I earned it. Because while she was playing politics in hotel rooms, I was holding this place together. The team rallied behind me. People I thought were distant. They started reaching out. You didn't deserve what happened. You handled it with more grace than I ever could. That moment in the meeting. I'll never forget it. Neither will I. Not because I exposed her. But because I reclaimed myself. At home, things got simpler. Calmer. The kids stopped asking why mom wasn't around. I stopped pretending she would be. I set up new routines. Rebuilt quiet joy. Sunday pancakes. Movie nights. Little pieces of peace, one day at a time. People ask me sometimes, do you miss her? I think about that. Do I miss the woman who shared my bed? The woman I built a life with? Or do I miss the version of her that only ever existed in my head? The truth? I miss who I was before I had to learn this lesson. But I'm grateful for who I became after. Because in the end, I didn't just survive the affair. I didn't just walk out with my dignity. I rose. And I never looked back.